Hello, this is Clara from Creations by Claire, and welcome. Today in this video we're going to upcycle these 5 by 7 wooden frames, plain frames, and make them into two beautiful art pieces. We're going to be making some air dry clay castings and also painting on glass. Very easy painting, I hope that you'll find. First, you want to clean the glass with a little bit of window cleaner, and then clean the wood with the baby wipe. It was a bit grungy for some reason. In this step, we'll be making some trimmings using this Amazon mold. I'm using Dallas air dry clay, and also I brushed a little bit of cornstarch on the silicone mold to help the clay release a lot easier. And I don't know if you saw, but I keep my clay in a bag with a little moistened piece of paper towel, and I roll it up the paper bag, and I keep it in the sealed container. If you're liking my channel or liking my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. I really would appreciate it, and that will help me build my channel. So with this mold, I'm making 4 of these bubble strips for each frame. I'm not going to use the full length, but I went ahead and made the 4. And any excess clay, I'll just put it back in the package. So my frame is nice and clean. So what I couldn't decide is, where am I going to put this trimming? Am I going to put it at the end, in the middle, or close to the inner end? So I decided like a little bit toward the middle of the flatness of the frame. And I'm using Titebond wood glue. It holds very well. So I'm gluing on as soon as I'm making the trimmings, and trying to keep them as straight as possible too. And that was a little tricky, but I think they did come out pretty straight. I'm cutting out using a cereal box, some more backer board. I'm going to go ahead and use the original plus this new one I cut out just to fill in the area, because there will not be any art inside. So I've glued on the air dry castings on the frames, so I'm ready to paint it with Snow White chalk paint by Waverly. I use chalk paint quite a bit in my painting of frames, upcycling. I just feel it has a better coverage, even though some things do require 2 to 3 coats. It depends on what type of paint is existing. You just have to kind of figure out as you go what to use and how many coats of paints. But this will require 2 coats of paints. I normally begin painting almost as soon as I glue on the air dry clay. I don't wait to let it dry. I feel that somehow it kind of reduces the cracks and the shrinkage, though it will shrink a little bit, and you'll see, if you look closely, you'll see some cracks in between. But painting it right away is usually what I like to do. And now painting the back. Get to the fun stuff and paint the daisies, and we will be painting on glass. These are the paints, acrylic paints that I've used. These are the brushes. Now I have my acrylic paints on my little palette, and the technique for this is you're going to paint on the glass, but the way you're going to be displaying it by flipping it around. So you'll be displaying the other side. So you do want to put the colors that you want to show the best, you want to apply those colors first. I just did a quick sketch of the layout of the flowers I'm going to paint. I'm using this brush for the first time. It's called a silver scrubber. The the hairs are very short. It's like a quarter of an inch. So I just wanted to like give the impression of little dots with this brush. So if you see, I put the black down first and then left some space in between, and then between those spaces there I applied the yellow and white. I just dipped the brush both yellow and white to get that tone. So when I turned it over, and what I'm doing, I'm going to constantly look at the other side to make sure that I'm getting the colors that I want and the design. After all, the other side is what's going to be displayed. This piece, the part that I'm painting here, is going to go on the inside of the frame. Now I'm switching to this, I believe it's called a round brush. It has like a thin point, and then the middle part or the belly is thicker. So I'm using this to make the petals. So each time I make the petal, you want to dip it into the paint to get the more brighter coverage. So I press in with the point lightly, and I press down and I pick up right away. So you can see I touch it with the point, press down, and pick up right away for each petal. So for this project, painting project, this is going to be these are very simple daisies. This is like if you're looking at straight down at the daisies, and the flowers are just showing you their full face. They're not looking down, they're not looking sideways, you're not getting a side view. So this is probably going to be the simplest of painting, so you don't have to worry about light, dark, or any type of side views or 3D effects, unless you want to. But I found this for this simple project, just to paint them just And I did try though to make the petals a little bit longer at the bottom and a little shorter on the top. Maybe I tried. And then I'll also let you in another tip. If for some reason you don't like what you've done, you've painted already the whole thing, you can easily take this glass over to the sink and wash the paint off. Just give it a little scrub. I wouldn't wait 4 days because this paint might get a little harder, but within a few hours you can easily wash the paint off and start over again. Now I'm going to be painting the leaves and the stems, and I'm using this as another round brush, but it's a little bit more, a little flatter. Uh, and I thought that would be helpful in you painting the small leaves. So here, just like the daisies, for the leaves, I with the point press down and pick up, and I'm dipping the brush in green, there's a darker green and yellow. Now I'm going to paint grass. So I dip it in the lighter green and yellow and a little bit of white. And now you can paint over the daisy because this is going, some of the grass is going to be behind the daisies and on the side there. And I'm putting a little bit more yellow, brighter colors at the bottom because when at the next step, I'm going to use a sponge and I'm going to put a darker color, like a black mixed in with the green. So I want this to pop from behind that dark color. Now using this napkin to clean the brush after each application just for any excess, not perfectly, but just to if there's any excess, I want to start each paint stroke with new paint. So take a peek how it looks. So I like it. So put it down. So now I'm going to use a sponge, but half of it's going to be with this darker green and half with the black. And the black part of the sponge is kind of pointed toward the bottom. So that's going to be the darkness, and I said we weren't going to worry about light and dark, but on this, just to make it, give it a bit nicer effect, I did. The darkness is like the ground, all the flowers are covering and gives it shade. If that makes sense. Well, hopefully it'll make sense once you see the completed. So gets more green, and I'm going to put another layer of this darker green, just making it nice and curved. And then I'll be sponging in some of that lighter green next over the painted grass and the daisies. You can pick up your glass and look to see if you're getting the desired effect or if you missed any spots. finished the first painting. Now here's the second. Now, I'm sorry, I did not capture the painting of these middle portion, or the stamen, or they call it disc florets of the daisies. But it's the same process as the first painting. So I'm jumping right into the petals. I'm using the round brush, the one with kind of the flat, with the flat belly. Dip it into the white point, press down and pick up for each petal. I think using a Lazy Susan would have been helpful to just place the glass on it, because as I'm turning it around, I didn't point out earlier, but I start the daisy from the tip top of the petal, and then press down and pick up before, or just as it's getting to the stamen. So this one, I have 6 daisies, so I was trying to do a little variety of different size daisies, some smaller ones and some little bit bigger ones. Now, using a little bit of each, I'm going to be using 4 colors and making the stems and the leaves. And I'm going to try to keep the lighter colors, lighter tones toward the bottom, so that they can pop when I apply the sponge of the darker color on the very top of all the painting. As you see, you're going to see here, I've started using both types of round brushes to make the stems and the leaves. I just think I just kind of lost track and just started picking up one brush and the other, but they both did the job. They were both round brushes. One's a little bit flatter than the other. I'm using the paper towel to clean off any excess before I pick up new paint or fresh paint. And also now I'm going, any of the little bit of grass, I'm going to just paint a little over start painting over the daisy, so you can see that effect when it's turned over. Let's paint a little green leaves above the daisy using the lighter color. green and a little bit of yellow. Now I'm going to use this round sponge rather than the flat one. This is one I did a couple of weeks ago, my test sample. So with the sponge, I'm going to dip it in the darker green. I guess it's called classic green, and the black, half black and half classic green on the sponge, and start at the bottom, kind of going kind of a rounded effect. Yeah, I like how it looks. And trail up, and once I start hitting the flowers, I'm going to go to the lime green, but it's still going to have a tinge of black in the sponge, so that's no problem. Put a little bit more lime green in my palette. Now a little bit more yellow. Mix it in. Decided to put just a little bit of black showing on the top, kind of to tie out with the bottom. Now back to the frames. Now that the chalk paint has dried, I'm going to apply clear wax, and this is to also seal the paint, and also I'm going to be applying antique wax. This is darker brown to make it look a little bit rustic and old. Now I'm applying the antique wax. It's a very dark brown, so I'm going to be applying it in small sections of the frame and wiping away right away with the wipe. And then when I'm applied to the clay castings, it's going to get in between the grooves of the bubbles. So that one I did have to do a little bit more to wipe away because it was a little bit too dark. You'll see me kind of cleaning in between the bubbles. If it gets too dark, you can also apply another coat of clear wax, and it'll remove more of the antique wax and make it more brighter. Now I'm going to attach or screw in a sawtooth hanger to the back of the frame. I think it's like an inch or inch and a quarter. I didn't have any smaller ones, but this size will be okay. It'll hold it well. I like to take a pencil and then just kind of color in the hole in case the hanger moves. I just put the micro fiber cloth at the bottom to protect the clay castings as I screw in the sawtooth hanger. Now I'm going to cover the back of the frame with this. It's a little heavy kraft paper, so I'm just measuring just slightly smaller than the frame. Though I'm going to have to cut it a little bit more. I usually just cut it a little larger. Also, another way to do it is just cut it larger and just apply it with the tape, and just use a piece of sandpaper and just sand it off the edges. Probably leave it as a cleaner cut, but I don't know why I always end up trying to fit it, cutting it with the scissors myself. And I'm going to be using double-sided tape to hold this down, to hold the kraft paper down. Be sure to put the painted side on the inside of the frame, plus the 2 pieces of backer board before closing up the clips and applying the kraft paper. Now I'm going to attach the double-sided tape on all 4 sides, and I will remove the paper on the longer sides first before I remove it from the top and bottom. And this will, so I can adjust it before I set it down permanently. I'll put a link in the description for this double-sided tape. And I think they do sell dispensers for this double-sided tape. Probably a lot easier than do it manually, but these small frames, it's very simple just to roll out the tape and cut with the scissors. Here's the completed daisies painted on glass with rustic wood frames. I hope you enjoyed my video and are inspired to make one for your own.